everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Hey, look, it's Eric.
It's me.
Merry Christmas, everybody, and happy holidays, and whatever it is you happen to celebrate. Eric and I want to do our yearly Merry Christmas video, and we're going to go ahead and exchange gifts on camera like we always do, and then we're just going to catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Eric hasn't been on camera a lot lately, or rather, he has, but I haven't been posting everything that we've been making because I've been putting up
the things. We're just talking about Spider-Man,
yeah,
or whatever.
And we've shot some of the and those have gone up, but we've shot some Ninja Turtle stuff that you'll get down the line, and so I've been backlogging all the comic vaults, and I'm gonna do another week of Spider-Man probably toward the beginning of the year after we've shot another couple more. So anyway, that went really well last time. People seem to enjoy that as an event, so that's what I'm gonna do with it next time. But we'll talk to Eric about some of the stuff that we've been having to spend a lot of time on lately on the Captain Logan show, like the new Marvel and Star Wars stuff and movie theaters and things like that. So first of all, though, let's go ahead and do our Christmas presents. We usually wear Santa hats. I forgot to do that. But
oh, yeah, I guess we do.
We've already turned the camera on, so you can just imagine that we're festive. That there's a Christmas tree like right back here. Like
you'll have to imagine that.
You have to imagine the Christmas tree. Anyway, so Eric. You want to go first?
Sure.
Okay, Eric's going to go first.
Sure.
And I put yours in Mario paper just because I had done Mario paper for one of the kids. I know you're not a Mario person, but I had exactly enough paper to wrap the thing that you had from the end of that roll, so that's why I put it in that paper.
I have used the same wrapping paper for every single gift I've wrapped, and I've wrapped a lot. That wrapping paper was awesome. I still have wrapping paper. And
was that stuff you bought, or was that something that you got from us? Because I recognize that paper.
I bought that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, in October. Because I went and visited my family for Thanksgiving, and we did Christmas gifts then. Sure. Because we were going to be together.
You're not going to see them again.
So I bought a roll in October, and it wrapped all of my family's presents. It wrapped all of my friends' presents. It wrapped my girlfriend's presents. And I've still got roll. Buy early, because I was like, well, if I run out, let me look at what papers there are. They're so much thinner. They're so much thinner.
Oh, so you're suggesting earlier in the year?
I'm suggesting earlier in the year.
It might depend on where you buy them.
I bought at Dollar Tree.
Okay, well, I was going to say, because when you go to Dollar Tree, usually because they're $1, you get thinner rolls. But you're saying you got a thick one.
I bought it at Dollar Tree. And it has lasted me for all of my presents, and I continue to have wrapping paper.
See, when we were younger, before we became adults and we had to do, grown-up things, these were not the kinds of conversations we had.
No. Well,
and especially on camera.
Well, and in my family, we just had a trash can full of wrapping paper rolls. We never ran out. My mom would buy wrapping paper the day after Christmas or that following week, and we just stock up, and we just always had wrapping paper.
I found it more difficult this year to find good character paper.
Oh, yeah?
A lot more generic stuff. Yeah. And of course, that's not actually Christmas paper. That's stuff I bought for Freddie's birthday. It's just generic Mario paper. But yeah, finding Christmas paper that is character stuff, I've had kind of it's been all Disney. Everything I found is Mickey.
Like the rest of the world.
Like the rest of the world, yeah. Star Wars, Marvel. It's about all I found. But anyway.
No Batman?
I have not seen any Batman paper. That doesn't mean it's not out there. I just haven't noticed it yet.
Ooh. City Hunter. That's super cool. I remember seeing that at Vintage. Did you get that at Vintage?
I did not.
Oh, okay, cool.
I bought that at one of the box stores.
Nice.
But yeah, that is the City Predator from the end of that movie, and that was my and Eric's favorite part of that movie.
Yeah. No, awesome.
Eric made me watch that a couple years ago, and I really, really enjoyed that. I kind of adored the craziness of that movie.
I wish it had all the pieces for when he does whatever he does in the bathroom.
I had that. Whatever is happening in that scene, I had that same thought. But I hope you like that.
I do.
It's a cool
It's super cool.
Can we maybe show it to the camera?
I guess I didn't do that.
Oh, that's okay.
I was just looking at it myself. I forgot we were on camera.
I knew people were going to be like, how come I don't get to see it?
It's not for you.
So, when you get stuff like this, do you take it out of the box? Or will you keep it in the box and pop it open?
Right now, I haven't really taken much stuff out of the box just because I have
a lot of display space, probably.
But when I...
Because I've not seen your new place yet, but you've told me how small it is, and I imagine,
Well, and everything's in boxes. I have 2 shelves that I've been able to acquire, but
I should have considered that, but hopefully at some point you'll have a place to display it.
I hope so. Hopefully next year when my lease is up, I will get a bigger place and I'll have more shelves and places because I've got a lot of stuff that I just all of my I just have a box that just says toys and none of them are displayed. So right now, no, but eventually, yes.
Do you have any Predator figures like that outside of Pop stuff?
No.
Because okay.
I've got
my
a Predator
hope was that
pop
you
and an
didn't have
Alien
anything-
Queen pop.
anything
No,
like
I've got
that.
no figures. No, awesome. Thank you. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much. I'm hoping you don't have mine. Mine will probably require some explanation.
Okay, let's find out. Here we go. Yeah, by explanation, you mean I'm going to look at it and be like, thanks, what is this?
Kind
Is it
of.
that kind of present?
Kind of.
You gave me a book for my birthday that was like that, too.
Well, that required much more explanation. This will be much shorter explanation.
So this is Spectacular 97 and Spectacular 98. And I want to say, I have to look at my database. I want to say one of these I have and the other one I don't.
Okay.
But I may not have this one either. You know, I do this thing because I own so many comics. I mean, I have close to 10,000 comics that when I see covers I recognize, sometimes it's, okay, do I recognize that because it's a major cover, or is it because I own it?
I mean, it's not a major cover. I didn't recognize the cover.
These are in lovely shape.
So, those are the first appearance of the Spot. 97
Really? Awesome.
is his first appearance as like just a guy, like a scientist guy, and then 98 is first costumed appearance.
Oh, I didn't know
I did
that.
open them and look through them a little bit. I wish I'd gotten 99 too, because like the end of that issue is like, now the Spot will do something, and I'm like, oh well, he's not getting a story.
Well, maybe I already have it. I'm not sure.
But
Spectacular is real spotty in my collection. But thanks a lot, man. That's all. I definitely don't have this one at the very least.
Well, that's first in costume appearance, so.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric.
You're
That's
welcome.
really exciting, man. Well, let's just talk a little bit.
Sure.
So, just insane amount of news all of a sudden. It's like,
And as we discussed before you turned the camera on, I missed most of it. I watched a catch-all video for the Marvel stuff, so I know most of that, I think. But
so
yes,
you heard about the Riri Williams show?
I did.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm not excited.
Do you feel like it was inevitable? Because you and I kind of talked about this at one point.
I
We were
didn't
like,
when
she's gonna show up somewhere.
People
right?
kept saying that when she was created, and I was like, no, they have more tact. Like, they're better than that. They're not going to take this character that no one likes.
Well, I didn't think back then they would do it. I thought about that later.
Yeah.
Kind of after the way Captain Marvel was handled and stuff, I was like, of course they're gonna.
She's an awful character. She's not like the worst. Like, she's not like. I'm trying to think of another character. Like, she doesn't show up and it's like nails on glass kind of a thing, but like she was terribly introduced. It felt so rushed. She shows up the issue before Tony goes into a coma. It doesn't feel earned that she takes over, and like she's fine. And then they gave her own series, and it got canceled very quickly.
It was the main character in a book called Iron Man, introduced,
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 issues in.
And like, just, I don't like Iron Man just because he has armor. I like Iron Man because I like Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Like, I like that character. So you just throw armor on things, that doesn't make me care. So I never read her solo book, because why would I? Also, I flipped through it. There's never any villains. This is my problem with all of these new heroes. Ms. Marvel, Ironheart, to a lesser degree Miles. Miles doesn't have his own villains. It's a little bit easier. Well, he did kind of in the Ultimate Universe.
But we killed him off already. I mean, his main villain we killed off.
And now now he's in 616, and he just does Spider-Man villains.
Yeah.
He doesn't have his own villains. None of these characters have their own villains. And I feel like that's so important for a successful superhero, to have a rogues gallery. What is Riri Williams going to do? I guess they'll just use other Iron Man villains, right? That
Yeah.
they didn't use. I guess that's not, but still.
But it's too many of these characters that come in to take the mantle of a previous character instead of getting really inventive and.
And if they were going to
bringing
do
their
it,
own
she
stuff.
should have been introduced. She shouldn't just be some kid who makes an Iron Man armor. I hate that. That's so dumb. And that's what she's going to have to be. She has no connection to Tony.
Yeah.
I'm more annoyed by the Armor Wars show, honestly.
She could spin off from Rhodey in some way. Like, he could sort of mentor her, and that would be better than she just makes a suit. What's your problem with the Armor Wars show? Because, of course, you're
Tony's dead!
Yeah, but at least Rhodey gets his own piece now. Like,
But it's the one Iron Man story everyone knows.
Yeah.
And it would have been an Iron Man, if they had not rushed Iron Man 2, it would have been an Iron Man movie. Like, that was such a huge miscalculation, because when they got to Iron Man 3, because everyone complained in Iron Man 2 that they did just another suit.
yeah.
So when they got to 3, they specifically told Shane Black, do not give us another guy in a suit.
Which is why it couldn't be Armor Wars.
Yes.
So they went to extremity.
But if they'd waited on Iron Man 2, they would have done Armor Wars, either for 2 or 3. One of those 2 movies would have done Armor Wars. No, I hate that the one iconic story that Iron Man has is being given to another character.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, that sucks. And
It's also going to be animated, right? Like, they didn't say that. Like, Disney Plus is great, like, budget-wise. It does not have the budget for a full-scale, like, multiple armors Iron TV show, right?
I think you'll be surprised. I don't
I
agree
might
with that
be.
at all. There's no way that's animated. They're not doing Secret Wars that way, and that's going to be a big spectacle show too. So I don't know why you would think it would be animated.
Maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe they'll put movie budgets on them.
I know you're not caught up with Mandalorian, but the lines are so blurred right now between TV and movies. Like, every episode of that show, especially in the second season, looks like it should have gone to the big screen in the first place. Like, I don't agree with you. I think they, like, when you look at what they can do with space battles in that show, and with the sheer amount of stormtroopers they'll put in a scene and other stuff, like, yeah, they could do armors. I don't know.
Are they CGI'd storm? Because like at this point,
they've got
if
huge
an
CG creatures that are on screen for a long time in broad daylight.
Okay.
The first episode of season 2 has a huge creature. And it gets lots of screen time. I don't know, man. Like, I think at this point, the kinds of budgets they're throwing at it, because we've had some shows now that have made the kind of money that, or almost made the kind of money that, like, you know, big budget movies can, and I think that they're willing to throw that kind of money at these things at this point, especially since we're getting to an era where they know they might not be able to put these things on the big screen in the first place. Like, where are they going to go? It seems to me like what they're doing is taking the big event things that they might have made into a big film and just stretched them out to miniseries, and I love that they're doing that, because a lot of those events need more time. Like, it was amazing that they could fit Civil War the way they did and improve upon it in a 2.5 hour movie. I forget how long that is, but like, doing Secret Wars that way instead of as an Avengers film, heck yes.
Are the Russos coming back for that?
I don't know. I don't know. They've not said who's showrunning that.
Because they said that was the one thing they would come back for.
I didn't remember that. Yeah, now that you say that.
But no, I maybe you're right. Because because like the way they do things, every armored character is just gonna be a CGI person. Like, you don't even need people on set.
Well, and they're doing a lot of CG and other stuff. Like you didn't see the trailer for Falcon Winter Soldier, but
I have not. I didn't.
There's some big Falcon flying around action that looks big screen worthy.
And I'm excited for that show.
Yeah. No, it looks great.
But no, and
it looks like slightly more comedic Winter Soldier, at least the way the trailer watches.
I like Iron Man 3's take on the Mandarin, and I'm fine with that being the MCU version. I'm annoyed that, like, so both Armor Wars and the real Mandarin, Iron Man did not get to deal with.
Yeah.
We didn't do either of those with Iron Man. It kind of annoys me. It just really bothers me. And, like, Brody's not that interesting of a character. Like, I don't read the War Machine book. Like, I think he's a great supporting character for Iron Man. I don't care, and I don't think John Cheadle's that great. Like, he's fine, but, like, maybe he'll do better in his own series.
My hope is giving him his own show and really being able to flesh that out, you know, where he has to put on the shoes of his previous, you know, mentor.
I do like the idea that, like, because, like, there was never going to be a War Machine movie. Like, it's nice that but, like, he can have a miniseries, like, that makes sense. But, like, no one was going to go see the War Machine movie, right? Like, that was inevitable. Like,
I don't know, though, because at one time you would have said that about Guardians, and you would have said that about Captain Marvel, and, like...
But War Machine already exists,
like
and no one... Like, War Machine is no one's favorite MCU character.
No.
Right?
But,
like...
Well, and then I guess the volley I'd throw at you after that is, we still have to see how Black Widow performs.
Yes. But at least Black Widow had the cachet of, like, she was the one girl for, like, half of the MCU.
Yeah.
And, like, so people have been, since the beginning, like, why isn't there a Black Widow movie? Now, that movie doesn't look good, but, like it looks boring as sin, but, like, and boy, did they ruin Taskmaster, but, like, that movie is anticipated.
Not, like,
exactly.
About it, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It looks fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
I can't believe they jumped out of an airplane and it's all CGI characters. Like, I can't... Like, Mission Impossible exists.
Yeah.
And you're gonna throw that? Why would I see your movie? You don't care. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So yeah,
with
I'm
that,
not excited by Ironheart.
But I will say, if we were, I'm gonna fight you for a second and say, if we never done the Disney Plus shows, especially because, and like maybe this is gonna sound like a horrible thing to say to people, but especially because they're clearly trying to branch out and do different kinds of characters and you know, have more physical diversity in their stuff. I think they'd be giving War Machine his own movie if they weren't giving him a TV show.
But I think it would perform Ant-Man numbers at best. Like War Machine's not Iron Man.
No, that's true, but those movies performed well enough against their budgets. Like, I've always liked that they're willing to make smaller films.
But I think War Machine needs to be bigger. Like, if you do War Machine, maybe not, but like you'd expect like an Iron Man scale. Like, it's another Iron Man. Like, you'd expect an Iron Man scale movie. I don't know.
That's fair.
But I will watch. I will try Armor Wars. I'm not touching Ironheart. Yeah, I don't care. I just don't. And like, I'll be even angrier if it's like a good Iron Man show, because it's not Iron Man. Like, I'll be even angrier if like, here's all this cool Iron Man stuff we didn't put in the Iron Man movies.
Yeah, like the difference to me, because I kind of cried foul on that a little bit on the Captain Logan show, where I said, and this is a controversial thing to say, but I feel that way, where it's like, it really seems like you guys just went to that because it's a diversity thing and because Iron Man was popular.
That's the only reason she's getting a show. Like, let's not pretend. Like, no one cares about that character. Her book got canceled.
And yeah, and so that was the point I was going to make, is I think there's a big distinction, because a couple people called me out in the comments when I said that and was like, well, what's the difference between giving Rhodey a show and giving her a show? I'm like, well,
Rhodey's a pre-established character
that some people actually like, and he's been around a while, and like, you're right, he's nobody's favorite character, but it's not like he's disliked. Like, I can see why they think that people might be intrigued by a show with that guy, and like, this is not me saying that like every character should be a white male either, of course. Like, I'm not, you know,
no,
obviously.
I have no problem with Rhodey getting a show. My issue is that it is Armor Wars.
Yeah, but like, I'm much more interested in the idea of a Rhodey show. There's, I think, a huge difference between something like Ironheart and something like Guardians, where, because you might say, well, Cap, you're saying that like there's not a lot of fans of Ironheart, nobody cares about that. Well, there wasn't a huge fan base for Guardians either, but that was like an obscure property that people didn't know about that had potential. This is a thing that, like, I don't know what the potential is right away.
And I'd also fight that, because while Guardians wasn't huge, there was a devoted fan base to those comics.
Yeah.
Like, there was a huge, like when Guardians is going on, and Annihilation Conquest, and all of that stuff, like, there was
an audience for that.
Yeah, like,
it didn't get canceled, it finished.
Yeah, and people really liked that stuff. People, like, that's the book that made Abnett and Lanning, and everyone knows who Abnett and Lanning, at least, maybe not now, because like they haven't been doing stuff, but like, in 2012, everyone knew who Abnett and Lanning were. And it was because of those books. It was those Marvel comics.
And they'd worked together for years, and people didn't really know them. They've
been working together since the 90s, yeah. They did Force Works.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Which is unreadable.
Resurrection Man is not, though. Read Resurrection Man, it's great.
But they did some Punisher stuff. Like, yeah, no, they've been around for a long time, but like, that's what made them a name. That's DNA and all of that. So like, no. Like Guardians wasn't a household name. It had a fan base. There was proof of concept that like this can sell to someone.
This could be popular. Yeah.
Rita Williams does not have that.
And I feel like that's one of those characters that they've been pushing on as pretending like she's popular.
But her book got canceled.
There's an argument to be made for Miss Marvel. Like, I know that...
Oh, no, absolutely. Miss Marvel makes sense. Like, I've never read her book, but, like, she is clearly successful. Yeah. People clearly like her. I will not read her because she does not have a rogues gallery. And that has always been my thing.
People swear by that. I've not read it. It's probably great. I just haven't gotten around to it. I borrowed it from the library at one point, forgot to read it, and took it back, and I still haven't done it. So
I do not begrudge Ms. Marvel. I don't care about Ms. Marvel, so I won't watch that show unless people say it's amazing.
But not just talking about the shows. I guess I was also just trying to make the distinction between the popularity of this
character. No, and that character makes sense to that because she is popular.
Marvel keeps pushing her acting like she's popular. She has been popular. She does have a base. I don't think she's as big as they kind of act like she is, but like that sold really well. I'm not sure about Spider-Gwen past that first like huge issue that sold really well. I don't know if that stayed popular, but they keep pushing that.
No, Spider-Gwen definitely. Well, and I mean, look at Spider-Gwen versus Silk. Like, they tried to push Silk, and Silk disappeared. Spider-Gwen clearly has stayed at least profitable.
And there's been rumors that they're going to do something with Silk also.
I heard that Silk was going to be...
But she's not in that list.
In that Spider-Verse spin-off that was going to be Spider-Gwen, I think Silk, and Spider-Woman. Not Spider-Girl, of course, because she has a fan base.
I thought I read something about an MCU thing, but I don't know if there's any validity to that.
I don't know. I would think that would fall under Sony's Spider-Man license. I wouldn't think you could do Silk.
A really good point. Yeah.
But no, I don't begrudge Miss Marvel being made. It's not like Ironheart. Like, well, and they're treating Ironheart like she is Miss Marvel and Miles Morales, and she's not. She was not accepted that way. Iron Man fans did not like her.
Yeah.
And I know really liberal progressive people, like really liberal progressive people that read Iron Man. Okay, I say people. I knew one guy that came in the vintage stock. Yeah. I shouldn't have said that. I've never name dropped that. That's where I worked. I don't work there anymore. It doesn't matter. I had one guy that came into the store that I worked at, and comic book fan, like clearly for his entire life, and like super, super progressive. Did not like Riri.
Yeah.
Thought that was the same thing. Like, I read this because I like Tony Stark. I do not care about this person. And like they killed Spider-Man to bring Miles in. Like, it was a distinct, like, this character is dead, and this is the
Somebody
replacement.
needs to fill the shoes. Yeah.
It's why Miles is weird in the PS4 game.
It's why Miles is weird in 616.
Yes,
like, can we get into that for just a second? Because that's been kind of driving me crazy lately. I don't like that Miles hasn't gotten his own superhero name. I think it's really weird, and I get why, because he was Spider-Man already, and I'm sure there's people like, oh, he's like the lesser Spider-Man, so he has to get a different name. Yeah, but if
he does.
But even if you don't agree with that, because there's a lot of people that at this point, like, Miles is their Spider-Man. Like, he's been around long enough. There's kids that have grown up with him and like him more. I know some people who say that their kids care more about that character now than Peter Parker.
I'd argue that's because of the movie. It has nothing to do with Miles as a character or those comics, because he's a completely different character in that movie.
Well, the guy I'm thinking of that I talked to recently that said that it's because of the cartoon show, and it's because of the new game.
Okay.
And I mean, he's just been in a lot of stuff now.
Sure.
He does get, I mean, not enough.
But again, not comic books.
Not enough character fleshing out. Yeah, but that's true with everything.
Yeah,
Kids don't read comics anymore. A lot of them. So I mean, I don't know if there's a point to be made there really. You know what I mean? That, like, you know, 10-year-olds right now. Oh, they're getting their Miles Morales from video games and not from comics. Yeah, that's been true for a long time though, dude. Like,
but they're spinning it as like the successful comic book character, like. People love them, and it's true with Miles. Like, people did love him in the comics.
Yeah. But even if that's your favorite version of Spider-Man, it's really kind of awkward. Like, the only reason that they're both called Spider-Man
is because he started in a separate universe.
Because he started in a different universe and he got that mantle in the first place, or that moniker in the first place. Like, even Spider-Gwen has now had to come up with a different name than Spider-Woman because there's other Spider-Women around. Yeah. I don't understand that.
And I like Ghost Spider. I think Ghost Spider's a cool name.
It's a cool name. It goes really well with that outfit.
Yep. She can never change it. She can never have a costume change.
It's neat that you could make it look ghosty in a different way, I guess. You could do a black costume Ghost Spider suit, which could be really cool because you could keep the hood, but everything else about it is black. Right? Have they?
There's a Gwenum.
Well, yes, there's a Gwenum. That's true. But I'm just saying, I'm imagining a like black costume Spider-Man Spider-Gwen suit that keeps the hood. Like that could be kind of cool.
Would you just switch the black and white? Because she has a lot of black already.
That would be neat.
That would be neat.
And then just take the pink out of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that could be cool.
That's a super cool costume that at some point they will mess with, like they did Spider-Man 2099, where it's like, well, that's like 50% of the reason anyone cares about this character. Like, you are...
The white suit that looked like the Dino Thunder White Ranger?
Yep, it was bad. But no, like, I don't know.
If that... I was just going to say, going back to the Riri thing for a minute, I watch everything MCU, so I will give it a shot. I don't want it, but I'm always open-minded. Like, I hope they win me over on that. It's not like I'm sitting here going, oh, boo, it's a black girl Iron Man. No, it's just, there doesn't look to be any...
No, you just didn't give me enough Iron Man stuff in your Iron Man movies, and so I'm kind of annoyed now that we're doing this other character that you're probably going to do Iron Man stuff with. And it's a character no one cares about. Yeah, except for the people that say they care about her, and they only care about her because she exists.
But what I'm saying is, if I watch that and it turns out that there was actually an inspiration for a story for that, I'll change my tune on it, certainly.
I'm not going to watch it, so...
Yeah.
Like, I will watch Armor Wars, I will not watch that.
But I just think I feel like it's important to say this. I feel like you have to have more than diversity. Diversity is great. I'm glad that like all kinds of different people can now be the stars of anything. But that's not enough. You can't give you can't give something with a crappy story a pass just because it's not a white guy.
Well, and that's what we did with Riri Williams' entire solo series, from what I understand.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently it was not good and it was boring and it did not sell well, and they're like, oh, like people are loving this character, and like they didn't treat it like it was canceled. They treated it like it ended. And
the good news is most things that that kind of thing has been attempted with, where there's not actually really a story or a performance and nobody cares, they're not popular. I mean like they don't perform, and then companies are forced to shocker, make something interesting and engaging, and yeah. And there are some things that have worked out, but most of the time it doesn't work.
And I'm not excited about the new direction of Ghostbusters either, but that at least remains to be seen.
You just gotta wait and see what it looks like, yeah. It seems counterintuitive at best, but we'll see what it looks like. Vince is excited. But Vince also liked 2016 more than anybody I know, so...
Yeah, well, and I also had a conversation with him about him liking the kid show Rocketeer because it's something he'd share with his kid, and I was like, yeah, but it's not the Rocketeer,
Yeah.
and that's my issue.
And I just don't like that kind of animation style.
No. And I was so excited. Like, there was clearly, like, because the original thing was, it was going to be a 70s blaxploitation thing. There was going to be a movie that was a, like, sequel to the original. It was going to be his daughter or granddaughter in the 70s, and it was going to have a blaxploitation vibe. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
neat.
I'm totally down for that. Like, that's keeping the spirit of the Rocketeer in a different decade.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Awesome. And then clearly someone just had, like, written on a noteboard, like, Black Girl Rocketeer, and they're like, have we made that yet? Let's make it a kid show. Let's make it a baby show.
Yeah. But the other thing that's cool, I didn't know about that. The other thing that's cool about that premise is because it's also playing with the cinematic sensibilities of the day, just like we did.
Yeah, yeah.
With the Rocketeer.
Yeah.
And going back a few decades, so it's not based on something that did it then. It's based on a thing that in the 80s went back to the the 40s and did it. Or was
Yeah,
it,
no,
was
I
it
was
the 30s, whatever decade that's set in.
Yeah, I was excited for that. But yeah, so what are the other Marvel things? I guess I heard about Secret Wars, but I don't have an opinion either way on that.
Yeah, so it sounds like, because we knew that there was supposed to be a Nick Fury show, and it sounds like that is the Nick Fury show, as far as I can tell.
Is it Secret Wars or is it Secret War? Because those are two different things. Because Secret War is a miniseries Bendis wrote that's a Nick Fury series.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're doing the scroll thing. I mean...
Secret Invasion.
Oh, see, that's what I meant to say. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I know the difference. No.
Sorry. Yes. That makes
you didn't know about Secret Invasion? You haven't even heard about this yet?
I had.
Oh, okay,
you said Secret Wars, and I thought I missed it.
I don't know why I did that.
Oh boy, do I not care about Secret Invasion at all.
Really?
They're not evil. Who cares?
Well,
they completely screwed it up with
evil scrolls. You don't know.
Captain Marvel made it look like they are the most pristine, like, race.
When we talked about this, though, I just thought it was that group. Like, there's...
Maybe? That's not how I took it from the movie. I also haven't rewatched the movie.
Yeah.
If they're evil scrolls, that's fine.
It was weird to establish them that way. And Talos is supposed to be in that show.
Well, but
so
they're also...
but...
Those are the only scrolls we have on Earth, are the good ones, and, like, they've been up in space with Nick Fury, according to Spider-Man. Like, I think they needed to be bad.
I think I actually said Secret Wars because everything is war and wars
yes,
right now.
It is.
I'm just used to saying, we just had Infinity War a couple of years ago. Like, I'm just so used to saying that. Anyway, sorry about that.
I'm not gonna...
Secret Invasion.
I'm not gonna, like, for sure not watch it, but I do not care about good scrolls. That was a huge mistake in that movie.
Sure, and I'm with you with that. I'm not making the leap that that's what they're gonna do with that. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense. It'd be weird. But,
it would be really weird.
But what I'm happy about with that, like I said earlier, is that's a story, even however loosely adapted they have to tell it, that makes a lot more sense to do in a few episodes than a film.
It does. It does.
And I like that they can do some of these big event things in several episodes now.
Yeah.
And again, having seen, I don't mean to keep pushing this, but having seen Mandalorian now, I trust them to be able to do the scale that they would do in a movie in 8 episodes. Mm-hmm. Like, I really trust that. My big question is, who else is going to be in that? Because you would have thought that would be another Avengers movie that would have everybody and his dog in it. And
I mean, Secret Invasion also makes sense to retool as, like, a smaller spy thing.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, and that might end up being, like, the
Nick Fury movie that we didn't get.
Or the S.H.I.E.L.D. show that actually is more like a S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I'm... Because, I mean, Skrulls make complete sense as long as you don't do something like Super Skrulls. Like, the Skrulls, as they are in the MCU, make sense for, like, a spy show. Like, it might not be the event Secret Invasion.
But it's funny you say that because they just announced Fantastic Four finally, and I could see them doing Super Skrull in their first movie. I didn't even think of that. But now that we have Skrulls, they could totally do that.
With the director from the Spider-Man movies, which means nothing imaginative or cool will be seen on screen, but we'll see.
Maybe, but I like that pick because that immediately tells me it's likely to have more of the family vibe that you would hope that it would.
That's true.
And that seemed like a good choice to me story-wise.
But I immediately jumped to how boring all the action scenes are with Hydro Man, Molten Man. And I was like, oh no! We're not going to get anything worth seeing as far as, like, the big, grand, cosmic, like, weird stuff.
I didn't think the fight scenes were really, boring and uninteresting once you got to the Mysterio stuff at the end. I thought it was shot that way deliberately because it was all holograms.
That's a weird way to make a movie. But I don't know. I think the final fight scene, like, there's cool stuff with Mysterio, but like everything involving those guys, I think, is boring. Because again, the Vulture stuff's not boring, but that's not the kind of stuff Fantastic Four deals with. Fantastic Four deals with the big.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
And so you think he'll shoot the So are you suggesting that they're shot that way because he doesn't know how to work with CG?
Or they just don't know how to like choreograph that and make it interesting? Because those Spider-Man fights are really boring. Which a Spider-Man fight should never be.
Yes, that's fair.
And so I'm worried that
I tend to tune out during those kinds of scenes anyway, so I wasn't thinking about it.
And so I'm worried that all the cool stuff from Fantastic Four
waiting for more story to happen.
is gonna be real paint by numbers, like nothing cool's gonna happen. But I'm interested to see. It's weird that we Reed Richards this late, but we always knew that was going to be a problem. But no, I'm not.
And there's also every possibility they pull it from another universe, since we're immediately doing massive multiverse stuff. Doesn't matter if you want that. I'm just saying there's every potential that they do that. Were you surprised that they didn't announce anything X-Men right away? That Fantastic Four is the first thing they announced, given that it's got a bad reputation on film, and X-Men doesn't, regardless of the fact that its last 2 movies were not good?
Because I feel like Feige said something where he's like, the mutants are like 5 years away.
Oh, that's true. He did say that. I forgot about. Yeah, but this is going to have to be like 5 years away.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's later in the phase. Well, maybe it's not that long. I don't know.
I know people made fun of Marvel, and like it was. In the long run, I think it was actually not a great decision when they put out that timeline for Phase 2 or Phase 3 or whatever, where it's like, well, now we have nothing to...
had to go against some of that?
Well, and also, like, well, now I have nothing to get excited about for the next 3 years because I know everything's coming. You can't announce anything and surprise me, but, like, I kind of need a timeline for all this because, like, I'm like, okay, so all these things are coming out. Yeah. I don't know when they're coming out. I don't know what in sequence they're coming out, but they're all coming out.
I mean, some of it we have the order now, especially a lot of the Disney Plus stuff.
Yes.
But
I have no sense of the MCU moving forward. And Inhumans, am I correct? Inhumans? Not Inhumans. Eternals.
Eternals.
Am I correct that Eternals does not have a current release date?
Does it not?
I saw
it did, and then it got pushed back, and then I don't know what it is now.
I think it currently does not have a release date, which I think is interesting.
So does that make you think it's going to go the way of Inhumans and it doesn't get made? Because isn't it in the middle of being made?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. No, it's being made.
They started shooting it,
yes.
right? Okay, I
thought
so.
Because Camille Nanjiani said it's the most hilarious movie he's ever made, which is what you want from a Jack Kirby comic. No, I want to say I saw that like currently Inhumans does not like it. Like
okay.
I want to not Eternals. Eternals. I want to say that like
I almost did it too
because of like the way the movies are sketched out next year. It's for sure not next year.
I think
because
that's why
Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man.
Is Spider-Man that early?
It's December.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I hadn't even seen a date.
So I think Spider-Man bumped Eternals. I think. I could be wrong.
I bet something happened with the casting with that where they started getting people they weren't sure if they could get, and then they fast-tracked it, since that is all about the cameos and the fan service.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't gotten to talk about that yet. How do you feel about that whole thing?
Boy, am I not excited.
Yeah.
I mean, like, bottom line is, Spider-Verse is not a Spider-Man story, period. But larger than that, like, I liked the smaller, like, it's just not at all the direction I wanted. Like, it's not where I thought we were going. Like, I was so disappointed. Like, I was so ready for Peter Parker on the run, everybody knows his identity.
Were you ready for him to actually have to deal with some tragedy?
Yeah, and some consequences, and like, I know it was never confirmed, but I was excited for Wakandan Kraven to be hunting him through New York, and like, do like a real New York thing, because we haven't done that with him yet. Like, I was really excited for all that stuff. And then it's like, oh, it's just going to be another multiverse thing with a bunch of other versions of the same character, and like, I just don't care.
I hate that it and DCEU are doing the same thing with their big, gimmicky, multiversal fan service crossover things where it can't just be an extra event movie. It has to be slated for the next movie in somebody's franchise. So when we do it with Flashpoint, it has to be the Flash movie. I don't care as much there because I don't like that Flash. So I don't have like a lot of feelings about that. So like when I heard about this, I was annoyed, and when I heard about the Michael Keaton Batman thing, I was more intrigued than anything. Like I don't have to have that, but like that could be interesting. I just wish it was its own thing, but I also don't care about that Flash. So if you can get him off screen more with characters I like, then that's fine. But the problem is I like this Spider-Man, and he's been my favorite of the three, and if we have to do this, couldn't it at least be the next thing after 3? Like, this is going to be the end of your Spider-Man... I realize we're going to keep making movies, but you're going to have a trilogy of Spider-Man movies, and this is your 3rd one, where we have to, like... I don't know what exactly they're doing, but especially if it's, like, wrap up threads from 2 other continuities in the middle of trying to, like, push forward this character story that's just not gotten enough to do. If you're going to do this, at the very least, you freaking wasted your 2nd movie.
Yes.
As much as I like that
Yes,
movie.
and this clearly wasn't the plan. My theory is...
What happened?
My theory is this is how we get him out of the MCU. And Marvel
I've heard other people say
agreed...
that, and I did not have that thought.
And Marvel agreed, we will help produce the next Spider-Man movie, but this is how he's gone. I think that's what it is. And...
That would suck.
And, like, I know we're never going to get Amazing Spider-Man 3, but I only care about Tobey Maguire coming back if Sam Raimi's making Spider-Man 4. Because he's a terrible Peter Parker, he's an awful Spider-Man. Like, the only way that's interesting or cool is if Sam Raimi comes back and makes his Spider-Man 4. I do not care about him showing up in that movie.
And I can't even go that far, because I never thought he was the right director for the Spider-Man movies.
Oh, I think he shoots the action brilliantly. I've also come to appreciate
like
his...
a quarter of it is CG and kind of rubbery and doesn't look like it's real people fighting.
But it's shot dynamically in a way that none of the... Like Spider-Man 3 still has one of the best like super action scenes we've ever seen with the wedding ring scene.
Then hire him for... That's cool, and I'm with you. But then hire him as the choreographer. Or not as the choreographer, but as the cinematographer.
Sure.
And then let somebody else actually direct it and keep all of his horror stuff out of it. Because I've never liked... There's not a ton of it, but I've never liked that. Like, you know that about me.
I've always liked that, but I like Sam Raimi's horror stuff.
That's cool, but I know a lot of people that that love Sam Raimi's horror that still say it gets in the way, and he's just not right for that.
I also think that a lot of my issues with those movies are fixed if it's set in the 60s. Like,
yeah.
Like,
especially dialogue.
I keep looking back at those movies. Well, 1 and 2. I don't go back to 3, but I keep going back to 1 and 2,
yeah.
And I'm like, man, I really appreciate the earnestness of these movies and what you're trying to do. It does not work in 2002. I really think these movies would have... I would connect and like these movies better if it was set in the 60s.
Period piece.
Yes.
And
because
he's too much of a Stan Lee purist.
And he's doing... You can tell those are his sensibilities, and sometimes the scripts get in the way.
Yeah.
I really think those movies are better than the 60s. But like... Spider-Man 4 is one of the great unmade superhero movies. Not that it necessarily be a great movie, but like it's one of the big ones. I only care about Tobey coming back because I do not want Tobey back because I don't like Tobey.
But why would you even want to see a Spider-Man 4? Like, do you really want the Vultress?
Just to see it happen. But Vultress has been officially confirmed as not a real thing.
That's not true.
Yes, it has.
I saw it, art and everything. Like,
Sam Raimi has officially come out and said Vultress was never a thing.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, if that's true, okay.
But a lot of what I thought I knew,
pretty darn official.
But a lot of what I thought I knew about that movie in recent years has completely altered.
Also, how far did they even get in pre-production?
They had storyboards.
Did they really?
Yeah, because we have Fat Mysterio, who was going to be played by what's his name? Because apparently he was going to do
Campbell.
Yeah, because apparently he was going to do Sinister Six, and apparently he was going to. We were finally going to open with Spider-Man fighting villains. And it was going to be a montage of him taking out the second stringer loser villains, one of which would be Mysterio. And then Vulture would be the main villain and would break them out.
Was Black Hat going to be in it then?
I think so. But I think it would have been a more like love triangle-y thing.
Then where did the stupid Vulturous thing even come from?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But apparently he was going to break out the villains and they were going to do Sinister Six, but like it would be tiered, which is the best way to do that, where like there was a leader who is the villain, and then there would be 5 lesser villains, because that's how you do that.
Yeah, that's how you do that.
But I'm not even like super excited like if that movie gets made, but that's the only way I care about Tobey coming back in any way.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way that I get in any way nostalgic or
but you
like.
wouldn't need to introduce him in somebody else's Spider-Man movie. You could just make that movie.
No, and like I think this is going to end up a lot like what you said Crisis was.
Yeah.
Because they wrote a script without knowing who they could get.
Oh, see, I don't agree with you on that.
You don't think they've written the script yet?
Well, it's
the movie's coming out in December.
It's hard to say. That's not what I mean. Sorry, I didn't know where you were going with that when I started to agree with you. I've heard this from a lot of people, and I would almost bet you money. I'm still going on record to say I'm not with you on this. There's no way that they would, and I realize that it's Sony and not straight up MCU, but they're connected entities right now with these movies. Mm-hmm. Marvel does not generally like tell you about their cameos years in advance. Like I can't get on board with that idea.
But Marvel's never done cameos like this.
Okay, but they didn't tell you any of the stuff they were going to go back to in Endgame, and this is going to be like it sounds like an Endgame level kind of movie. Like there were lots of cameos in Endgame we didn't know, and Infinity War. Like nobody knew about Red Skull. They kept that very much under their hat.
That's true.
Why in the world would they tell you about all of them? And we're hearing about so many of them. There's no way they're going to keep any of them secret.
I think you're supposed to be excited. Like I think they think this is what people want. Like and DC's doing the same thing with Flashpoint. Like we know all the people that come back. I don't know.
That's not true. Flashpoint, we've heard about a couple of things. Like we don't like if they do. There was so little known about Flashpoint initially that I thought it was just the Tim Burton Batman thing. And it sounds like he's going to play a pretty major role in that, considering that they keep talking about him as the Nick Fury for that universe now, where he's going to be in other things. Yeah, it's bizarre.
And again, but like I think that's more exciting than Tobey coming back. I am so much more interested in a third Michael Keaton Batman movie than I am in him being in Flashpoint.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I'm not saying do Dark Knight Returns, but do his Dark Knight Returns, like do old man Bruce Wayne with Michael Keaton. I'm so much more interested in that.
I know, I'd love that. And even if it was like a Batman Beyond thing.
Yeah, that too.
And there's been rumors that he's going to do both. Have you heard about that?
I've heard those rumors.
I don't buy that for a minute. But the
multiverse thing was dumb and not exciting. Because I'm so much more interested, like, and I had that a little bit with Spider-Verse, where, like, I kind of would have rather just a Miles movie, just a Spider-Gwen movie, maybe not Spider-Ham, but, like just a Spider-Man Noir movie, like...
He should get a Saturday morning cartoon, though.
They talked about doing something like that,
yeah.
I think. But, like, I'm so much more interested in getting, I just don't care, like, okay, so these people are going to meet each other. And then I'm never going to see Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. Why do I care?
Yeah.
And, like, I was excited when...
See, I'm worried that they're going to treat it like they need some kind of a send-off. And I get that third movie with Amazing never happens, so it ends on something of a cliffhanger. But I still don't need any resolution if you're not going to give him his own movie. And 3 was enough resolution to me for that first trilogy.
And is Gwen Stacy officially back? Because she's dead. I mean, Doc Ock's dead, too.
Yeah, so are all these villains. And then, apparently, Electro is supposed to be a different version of that character, played by the same actor. That's so bizarre.
Well, and they announced that was the first one we got, was that he was coming back as Electro.
And nobody assumed crossover because they immediately said he's not that version.
Yeah, and so
And then suddenly Alfred Molina comes up, and we're like, what is happening?
Well, see, but when I heard that, I was kind of excited. I was like, okay, so they're finally going to do their Secret Six movie, but they're just going to cast the actors. Like this, we're going to shorthand it.
Yeah.
We're going to use the actors that we've had before, and we'll probably have a new main villain.
But then we heard about Kirsten Dunst, and it's all...
Yeah, and I was like, oh, because I thought that was cool. I was like, I like the idea, because, like, you don't have time to do a Secret Six. You're not going to, like, build that entirely, like... Okay, shorthanded. Like, get Electro, get Doc Ock, and, like, they're just going to be the actors that you saw before because they're going to be, you know, you're already familiar with them, and that's kind of cool. And we already did with J.K. Simmons. There's precedent, at least with the Spider movies. Like, fine, whatever. And then, like, it's like, Doc Ock's going to be the Doc Ock who's dead at the end of Spider-Man 2. And I was like,
he was Doc Ock for 19 hours. Mm-hmm. So... So does he get pulled out of that continuity while he's in the middle of that and he's just brainwashed by his arms? Like,
but I'm also 90% sure this is all Sony.
Yeah, I am.
Like, remember, these are the people who are talking about Aunt May movie. Or not Aunt May, Madam Web. These are the people who are talking about Madam Web movie.
And if Venom's not in that movie, I will eat my hat.
I'm telling you, this is how... I think this is how he gets to the Venomverse because... Like, this... Marvel only contracted for one more Spider-Man movie, right? Like, this is it for Marvel.
Yeah, unless they sign it again.
Unless they sign it. I think Marvel agreed, if only it would be how the... So I think...
And they
any plans that they had were completely derailed by that contract ending.
Well, and the thing is, they already seemed really confused as to whether or not their Venom movie and Morbius were in MCU, and this
Well, it's very simple. Those the MCU exists in those movies, but those movies don't exist in the MCU. I've tried to explain this to a lot of people that don't, like, care, and they don't get it.
That still doesn't make sense, because if Venom existed in a world with Spider-Man, that movie happens differently. There's no way around it. And
when we said that when we saw it.
Why would you need to contrive a reason for that mask to, or for that face to sort of kind of look like Spider-Man's face if Spider-Man's in that universe? Just have him there. So that still doesn't make sense. But what I was going to say is, this would provide an explanation now for why Michael Keaton could be there. When he's in the Morbius movie. Like, if they retroactively, or not even retroactively, but when we get to Morbius, that's from a different universe, and wouldn't it be weird if Morbius was the first thing that gave us a sense of the multiverse before you even get to the Doctor Strange movie? But maybe he comes from the MCU universe, and they actually are being smart about this, and they are in separate universes. Now, I'm not trusting that, because everything has been so counterintuitive with the Venomverse.
Well, and then also, like, that's going to run to the Miles problem, where, like, so Spider-Man and his one living villain and probably his supporting cast are going to move, but, like, everything else is going to stay.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't, like, maybe, and we haven't heard Keaton's in it, right? Like, we have not heard word that Vulture's in Spider-Man 3.
No, but I'm just talking about Morbius.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if he were to get there through Spider-Man 3, how does he get there? And like he's in prison, like he just showed up in the new universe, he's already in prison, like...
What I want to think is that there's some major element to this that we don't understand yet that's going to make it all click, and then you remind me, but Sony is making it more than Marvel is making it. And, like, they've been doing really strange off the beaten path, like, it's so weird. They've been operating sort of like DC was... with, and might be moving forward as well, with the Snyder stuff, except, like, more successful? At least with Venom?
Yeah, but that's all they've made so far!
Yeah.
Like, they get to continue to pretend to be successful until Venom 2 and Morbius come out.
But how did that Venom movie that felt like the Venom movie you would have gotten in, like, 2006 perform better than Man of Steel?
Because people like Venom. Because Avi Arad was right, and people like Venom.
We do have to concede that.
It's the same reason that Spawn would be successful.
It wouldn't be $1 billion successful.
Well, no, but it also wouldn't be, like, pretending it might be part of the MCU.
That's true. No, you're right. That movie doesn't perform like it does if it's not for MCU, right?
Well, yeah, because no one knew whether it was MCU or not, and What's-Her-Name was coming out, and there's that famous, like, clip of her and Feige where he's like, it's not connected, and she's like, but there's a chance.
And he goes, no, there's not. And then suddenly Michael Keaton shows up at the end of your Morbius trailer, and all bets are off!
Yeah.
So bizarre.
But, yeah. What were the other Marvel things? Oh, can I complain about Ant-Man? Can I just go off on Ant-Man?
So before you do that, let me just say that, because I didn't have you there when I talked about it on the live show.
Did you say I'd be angry?
I basically made all the points I thought you would make, because I don't know anything about Kang hardly, and I was like, I know Dan and Eric are going to be very, very angry about this. And what's really funny is, some people in the comments started arguing with me, and I'm like, understand, these are not my points. This is what I think Eric is going to say.
I don't know what those people in the comments are saying, but they're wrong.
Well, they may not be, though.
Okay.
The big thing is... you would not want that to be the only place you had Kang, but as long as they keep using him, it might not be a bad place to introduce him.
I guess,
because you're gonna jump the gun and assume that that's the only place we'll ever see that character.
I'm not sure about that.
A lot of people are saying that he's a big enough villain that he's liable to be, in more stuff. He might be the next Loki or something, where you just keep showing up in movies.
Yeah, except aside from Loki, Marvel's never made good on a single promise they've ever made about a villain, ever.
Well, they haven't made a promise about this villain, but... I guess I don't really...
I'm saying every time they've ever set a villain up...
Oh, okay. You're saying that if he's cool in that, you can't be
Red Skull goes off into the cosmos. We don't hear about him again until Crossbones gets all burned up at the end of... They have never, ever like been able to nail that. So I don't trust that.
Some people would argue with it, but you and I still aren't happy with how they handled Thanos exactly. So
yeah, but even Thanos, like Thanos wasn't the villain in anything.
yeah,
like you know what I mean. Like they didn't promise Thanos coming back.
Crossbones wasn't like a big villain. If you're gonna throw that in there, like he was introduced in a thing.
They set him up to come back, and then he is in the opening scene of the next movie and disposed of.
Okay, but I'm just saying they set up Thanos to come back. I guess I don't know what point you're making.
But he wasn't. I guess you're right.
If you like Thanos, your point doesn't stand, is all I'm saying. Right? How's that any different than Crossbones? We tack him in there, and then he shows up later, and...
Because he wasn't, like, part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, Thanos was never involved in... Like, he was always the post-credit scene, or, like, that one throwaway scene in Guardians.
Yeah.
He wasn't... It wasn't like Thanos was in a movie,
Okay.
and then they were like, and he's gonna come back and be a bigger deal. They just said, this guy's coming.
Yeah.
And they just kept saying, this guy's coming. He was never in a movie, really.
Okay.
Not like, Crossbones is... like one of the villains of Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Or that guy is one of the villains, and they're setting him up to come back.
Yeah.
And then they drop the
They
ball.
write him out in the beginning of the... well, and they did the same thing with that Nazi guy. What's his name?
It's with a Z, but it's not Zemo.
I can't remember his name.
But
no,
yes.
no, it's Von Strucker.
Oh, yes, Von Strucker.
Yeah.
Well, Von Strucker...
Remember that?
Well, he's only in the end credit scene, though.
Well, that's true.
Like,
I guess that was
he
still
is
more of a Thanos
wasted,
thing, but he's totally wasted.
Yeah, he's totally wasted. There's another big one, and even Loki. Like, I know that Loki is the main villain of Avengers, and he is very fun in that movie. He is nothing that I wanted from after Thor. Like, he is such a more interesting character in Thor, and he's set up to be like way more interesting and different. And then he's just a villain. You know what I mean?
Well, and then he's kind of what he was in Thor again in Dark World is the only good thing about that movie.
Yes.
Because he comes back and is that character
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. But, like, even Loki, Loki is enjoyable in Avengers, but he is a dropped ball from Thor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
He is a different ball. Like, they dropped a ball and picked up a different ball that also said Loki, but it was... so, like, I don't trust them to see... Like, and again,
I didn't mean
Thanos,
to fight you too hard. I just wasn't sure what point you were making.
Well, and again, Thanos, they seeded for years, and then, in my opinion, completely dropped the ball. But that's because I care about comic books, and none of the people who watch these movies do. So, like, I don't know, like...
I still say it's not just a comic book thing. I still say that doesn't add up, even if...
Well, no, they're setting up a different Thanos, but I don't think you notice as much if you don't know who Thanos is.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
But, like...
So what else are you not liking about what we heard about with Quantumania, which is a bizarre title? And now I'm going to have to make a Marvel Mania on a movie called Quantum Mania?
They're doing Kang, and that's obviously incredibly annoying. I'm also terrified of what his costume's going to look like. Like, for those that don't know, like, Kang is the other Avengers arch nemesis. Like, it is Ultron and it is Kang. Like, and he's a big deal. So, like, we're just gonna throw him in an Ant-Man movie, which really much more to me, I feel like it's actually the reverse of what you'd think it is. I feel like it is justifying the existence of an Ant-Man movie. Like, well, we used Ant-Man to do time travel, so we can have Kang in an Ant-Man movie, and therefore it makes sense to make Ant-Man 3, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
No, I had that same thought.
Like, I just...
I'm hoping that it's, more epic in scale and that it's not as throwaway of a movie as those other two. Like, I hope they kind of finally got themselves together and are going to try to, really make a cool...
Well, everyone else is dead, so maybe they'll try and, like, up Ant-Man to...
It doesn't help that it's that same director. No, I wish somebody else was coming in to do it.
And he's probably angry, because he has been saying for years he wants Fantastic Four.
Well, he
really wants.
He realized he was supposed to direct the original.
Yeah, he lost it to Story or something.
Yeah, to the Story back in 2004. That was the guy they hired initially, and then or it was between the two or something. But that was the thing I read in the magazine published from back then, and it blew my mind.
Yeah, he really wants to direct Fantastic Four, and they gave it to somebody else. But that might be compensation for making Spider-Man 3. Like, it might be like, look, if you make this movie for us, you can do Fantastic Four, and you can have your own franchise that isn't going to be stolen by another company.
Yeah. Now, let me suggest that there also could be this consolation, pardon me. Is it possible that those movies are connected, and that they're going to let him set up the Fantastic Four movie somehow?
Yeah,
Quantumania? I can see that. I mean, Kang would not be a bad place to do that.
Well, and Kang's connected to the Fantastic Four because of Rama Tut, and that's...
I did not know that.
Well, that's the whole reason they couldn't use Kang in the first place, remember? Because it was connected... Because...
I did not remember this.
Oh, okay, so...
I thought they just didn't care about Kang. I didn't realize that he was owned by Fox before.
Yes, they weren't allowed to use him because in Kang's first appearance... And this isn't like just his first appearance, but like it's specified in his first appearance. There's a villain in Fantastic Four named Rama-Tut, which is a dude in ancient Egypt who has like super technology. When Kang shows up in Avengers, it specifically says, I am Rama-Tut. I was in the future, I went backwards in time, became Rama-Tut, and then, like, was able, like, I forget, like, he gets, like, time travel equipment again or something, and then is Kang. So they are the same person. Also, Immortus is also Kang, but later in the timeline.
I didn't know about any of
that. He's also the son of Dr. Doom. But, so, like...
Interesting.
You could do a Kang thing with that, I guess. With the Fantastic Four because of Rama-Tut, maybe. And it wouldn't be a terrible thing to do because they're not doing Dr. Doom again, right? Like that will not be the first villain. Like
I wouldn't think
they will set him up like the Joker.
If they're handling it the same, I was going to say the way they've been handling Spider-Man stuff, where they don't want anything you've seen before. Apparently, unless they decide to cross over everything.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe's not coming back though. Or has not been announced yet.
I read he might.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
more things coming
tickets
in.
sold. Like,
I was going to say, that's the only thing that I'm going to get real excited about with the crossover stuff, because how do you not, you know? But he better not be there 10 seconds. Like, man, I hope you're wrong about that, because that's a mistake. If they do to me, even if the movie's really good, if they do to me what frickin' Crisis did, where you get these announcements and you see somebody on screen for 10 seconds, like, that Nox thing was obnoxious.
I also think it could be a potential... Like, if this does really well, maybe we'll make Spider-Man 4 and Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
And we'll just confuse people. And, oh, you know what? I say that, I don't even know anymore. I feel like people are not as confused by this stuff as they used to be. Like...
Do you think people are finally starting to get initiated, kind of?
Yeah, we've got, like, multiple Batmans, and no one's confused by that. Like, we're going to have Michael Keaton, we've got the Batman... And Justice League, and potentially a Ben Affleck spin-off of that.
You say nobody's confused, but none of the other stuff has come out yet. I mean,
that's true.
In our circles, you're hearing people talk about the Batman all the time, but what's, like, 65-year-old grandma going to think about that? Like, I don't know.
Well, she's going to think she's going to see the Avengers.
That's true. She is. I think, you know, general audiences that do this stuff more casually, I don't know if this will confuse them or not.
Yeah.
But that is hard to say. We're gonna have to quit here in a second if we're gonna do our review.
Okay.
It's almost 10 o'clock, and I know you can't stay too late. Late. So,
that's bad. But yeah, I don't want to be a downer, but like, there is nothing that Marvel announced that I was excited for. That wasn't something I already knew was coming, like Blade, and even then, and like Moon Knight, I'm very worried about.
Are you?
Yes.
Why?
I don't think you can do. Everything interesting about Moon Knight, I don't think you can do on Disney+. Like, I feel like that show requires it. If you don't make that the super dark show, it's just Batman. Like, it's just, like, not Batman.
I want to wait and see what some of the other shows look like before I can go that far, though. Because I think they're going to push envelopes farther than you think they're going to.
I thought they specifically said that they weren't going to do that. And that, like, stuff was going to be on Hulu if it was going to be...
What I mean is, they may not show a lot of blood and get really violent and stuff, but
it can be psychologically dark. And
everything I'm seeing about WandaVision looks twisted and weird.
Okay.
And that's Disney+. Like, yeah. I think there's a chance, you know? And,
you might be right.
And they've gone... I mean, not really any farther than the original Star Wars movies did, but I mean, like, they're not afraid to get violent and talk about some, you know, kind of adult subjects in Mandalorian. Like, they're going farther than you might have thought they would. I don't know.
Okay, maybe we'll see. I'm tentative on.
I'm just
Moon
saying,
Knight.
I don't think it's going to be Disney-fied. Like, maybe for your taste, you'd rather it get more rated R than they'll be willing to take that. But like. I think all that stuff has the potential to go at least as dark as Black Panther did, and if you have, I mean, like, that had Killmonger, and he was as scary as some of the, at least, like, idea-wise, as some of the stuff they had in the Marvel Netflix shows, and if they can go that far in PG-13 in a Disney thing, I'm not as worried about Moon Knight.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm worried that Moon Knight, and Moon Knight, like, it could still be a fine show, like, I like Batman, but, like, I'm worried that they're not gonna go... Where I think Moon Knight needs to go to stand out and be differentiated from any other superhero property.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think you can make Moon Knight stuff that doesn't lean super hard into, like, all the, like, psychotic, like, DID stuff and all of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can sell that to a mass audience and not just be like, well, it's Batman. It's Batman, but he has a third identity.
But I think they will go to the DID stuff.
I hope so.
And I think you can do that in PG-13.
I hope so. We'll see. I'm not down on Moon Knight. I'm worried that Disney Plus is not the best. Like Moon Knight, like the way they originally talked about like what they were going to do with Hulu, I feel like Moon Knight maybe should belong over on Hulu.
I don't disagree with that, but I also think that they might surprise you. Like
that Hellstrom show just dropped out of nowhere and nobody cared.
Yeah, but I've heard good things about it from the people
Have
who
you
watched it.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, do me a favor and look at the trailers and get back to me.
Okay.
Because it looks like there's a lot more story variety and experimentation going on there than you might have expected.
Well, and I'm excited for Hawkeye. Like we knew Hawkeye was coming, but like, and that's the thing is there are still things.
We don't know when at this point. Still,
no.
That was not really talked about.
But we've seen set photos
that is still coming
from recently.
But, oh, really?
Oh yeah. We saw her on set with Pizza Dog.
But it's weird that this wasn't that wasn't in the list with a date.
It is really weird because we just got set photos like a week ago.
I didn't know about
like
that.
2 weeks ago. Yeah. It's her and Renner's there. Because like Renner's still there.
Yeah.
And Pizza Dog's there. I'm excited about that.
No, I knew Renner was definitely still supposed to be spinning her out, although it's hard to say how much of that show he'll be in at this point.
Well,
do you think they cut his part down?
I don't know. Because I would think if you had a problem with Renner, you would just cut him out.
Yeah.
So
there could be a contractual.
And it's never been said that it's her show. Like it's his show as far as we know.
No, they've been talking about it a lot more like it's her show.
That's disappointing. See, that's like.
But from the beginning, I thought it was always more her show.
I've never heard much about it in general.
Okay.
But like, because like in the beginning, we didn't even know if she was going to be in it. Like we just heard Hawkeye.
Yeah.
But like, there
might have been a pivot where ever since then
we haven't gotten to know him enough for it to matter that he has a legacy.
I'm with you.
Like at least Iron Man is like a character that got 3 movies and like was a big deal in Civil War and Ultron and like that kind of makes sense. We don't know Hawkeye well enough for it to matter.
The universe and everything.
Yeah, we don't know Hawkeye well enough for it. Like, this was finally the chance to get to know Hawkeye. It'd
be really funny if his best story was in the first episode and they kill him. And
I mean, I'm fine if it's a duo. Like, Pizza Dog's there, so, like, or there's a dog there, and everyone's assuming it's Pizza Dog. Like, I assume we based on the Matt Fraction run. That could be really cool. And, like, I love Kate.
It's definitely based on that more than anything.
Well, and I love Kate. And it's the actress from Bumblebee, who I like. Like, I didn't like that movie.
That actress.
Yeah,
that movie's terrible.
Yeah, and she's Spider-Gwen. That's right. She's got a huge career ahead of her. Like I like her for Kate.
No, that vocal performance is really good. I'm with you.
I'm excited for that.
That's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, and see that doesn't look like just a diversity thing.
No,
because that character is interesting.
And is well liked and has been around since like 2006 when Young Avengers came out.
Yeah. That's a thing you'd want to see adapted, yeah.
Yeah, well, and me personally, because I like Kate. I like Clint too, and like Clint hasn't shown up in the MCU, but whatever. But I also like MCU Hawkeye. Yeah. And so like I was excited to... You know what's weird?
But he's never gotten enough to do.
He is one of those guys...
That Ronin thing could have been a whole movie.
It could have been. He is one of those guys that like... I really like him as Hawkeye. Like, I really like him. Anytime I see him in anything else... action-oriented. Because obviously, like, he's in, like, American whatever, Hustle. And, like, he's really good in that.
I forgot he was in that.
He's really good in stuff like that. But, like, any other action stuff, he's really bland. Like, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunter, I like it. But, like, I wouldn't walk out of that movie and be like, oh, that guy's really... Or, like, that Bourne movie he did. He's flying in the Mission Impossible movies.
One of the only things I've ever seen him in the outside of the MCU is
Angel?
28 Weeks Later.
Oh.
He's the main character in that. Angel.
He's an angel.
Where is he an angel?
He is Angel's sire that we never mention again from
That's
season
who
1.
that is?
That's Jeremy
That's going to be really weird when I go back to it.
That's Jeremy Renner.
Wow.
And he has a...
I'm taking my family through Buffy right now, and when we get to that, that's going to be weird.
He has a soul patch. Or not a soul patch. What is it when you have just this of the goatee? You don't have the mustache part.
Yeah, that's not a soul patch, is it?
No,
the
soul patch is just
this, yeah.
Yeah. But no, he has one of those.
I wear that sometimes.
Because it's the early.
I don't know what that's. Is that called something? That's got to have a name. I don't know what that is.
But yeah, anyways.
Real quick before we close out, I wanted to ask you about one more thing.
Okay.
Because I had a couple things written down, and then we just talked about the Marvel movies, which is totally fine.
And I'm hoping the leader is in She-Hulk.
Yes.
Because we know Abomination is going to be there, and I'm really excited because it's probably not going to be. I was worried it was going to be like the funny lawyer show. And like the fact that we know Mark Ruffalo's in it, and the fact that Abomination's coming back, I'm hoping this is finally where we pick up all the Hulk threads. And I like She-Hulk, so
I gotta tell you, man, I don't.
She will not be attractive, though. I will guarantee you, she will not be attractive.
Why do you say that?
Because it's Disney and it's 2020. Like, she will not be an attractive She-Hulk. She will be like big, hulking, like scary.
She might be attractive, but they just won't. Have her in anything scantily clad or whatever.
Maybe? I don't know. I feel like She-Hulk will not be attractive.
I mean, she could be, kind of a bigger girl, but still be attractive.
I mean,
maybe she'll be played by a basketball player.
Well, I mean, that chick from The Mandalorian and
Deadpool, she got cast. I don't even know who it is.
I think she has been cast.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
who it is.
And I guess they'll just CGI her like they do the Hulk. She-Hulk doesn't feel to me like they could do the Lou Ferrigno thing, and I think that would work fine for She-Hulk.
I do too.
Because she's not that much bigger.
I wish they would, honestly. Do the Gamora thing.
She should have been the chick from Mandalorian and Deadpool. I think she would
Mandalorian and Deadpool.
I
don't know who we're talking about when you put those two properties together.
The muscular chick from.
Oh, she is in Deadpool.
Yes,
that's right. That would have been a really good pick, actually.
She would be a great. Not Jennifer Walters, but Jennifer Walters. Yeah.
Oh, you mean like she transforms?
Yeah.
That would be. It would be so cool if you did the Lou Ferrigno thing, but it was her. Ferrigno thing, but it was her. But that ends up being weird when both of them are talky, right? Where like now she has a different voice and like. The Lou Ferrigno thing works because now he's a monster guy. Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm actually excited for that, knowing that's not going to be the silly lawyer show. It's going to be maybe an actual Hulk thing.
So real quick, I wanted to hear you weigh in, if you would, on the
Vince eyebrow.
No, on the. Well done. Would you weigh in, please, on the HBO Max announcement where they're
the day and date?
where they're putting out all 21 of their movies from their slate, and then at the same time as with theaters, and then give me a prediction of where movie theaters are post-pandemic, like midway through 2022 into 2023. What's going to happen?
I don't know.
Nobody does, but I was wondering.
And
if
I
you
don't
had
have
a theory.
HBO Max, so a lot of these movies I'll probably still see, or maybe I'll just end up getting HBO Max. I am seeing Dune in theaters. There's no way I'm not seeing Dune in theaters.
I honestly may not see anything in the theater, and I feel really funky saying that, but it's just. And I'm in a different situation, but with what I do, it's just so much easier to stay home.
Oh yes, of course. Well, and it's so, and you have a family, and it's so much cheaper, and it's because like we used to like have to go out.
My family,
and then,
I just can't even take out. I mean, I got a 2-year-old. I'm not going to take him to the theater.
Well, and even if you did, like, if you took Sarah and both Freddie and Jason, like, that's expensive.
It would cost 4 times what the monthly fee for HBO Max is to see one film.
Yeah. And like we used to go see movies, and then like if it was good, you'd be like, well, I'll take Sarah, I'll take Jason, or like that's money.
Yeah.
So like no, it makes anyone that has a family, like it completely makes sense. Like I'll probably see Wonder Woman. I'll probably go with my girlfriend maybe on Christmas. I used to see movies on Christmas.
Yeah.
She thinks that's weird, but I might do that. But like, I'm not sure because I might break down and just get HBO Max. I don't know.
I was gonna say if you don't, you could come over here and we could watch some stuff.
Yeah.
Anything you don't care about going to the theater for.
Yeah, I don't care about going to see Snyder Cut in theater, so I'll probably come over here for the Snyder Cut. Well, we can do that together.
And I was all okay. Well,
unless I end up breaking down getting HBO Max, I am supposed to get it for free with my phone, and I've never followed up and figured out how.
And let me say, I miss going to stuff with you, but like some of that stuff, we might as well do it here if we're going to watch it together. I don't mean to jump to another subject, but I also got to know what you think about the Snyder Cut thing. Because if you heard about that like Snyder really wants it to go to the theater. We don't know if that's going to happen yet, but it's supposed to drop on HBO Max as a miniseries week to week. I don't want it in the theater if that happens. Because anybody that goes to the theater is going to be able to spoil it for the rest of us if we're watching it week to week.
Well, and is the movie released in theaters going to be...
It's going to be 4 hours and rated R.
And so it'll be 1 hour episodes for 4 weeks?
Yeah.
You can't do
I'm
that.
only okay with the theater thing if it drops week 4. And we don't know how it would work, but if it drops week 1, no.
Yeah, no. Well, if it drops I'm so out of the loop. Like I just got told today, today is Wednesday.
Yeah.
That there were 8 Star Wars shows announced. Like, I'm just kind of out of the loop on a lot of this stuff. So, like, maybe I can avoid spoilers and all that, but, like...
Well, you probably don't even know about some of the other crazy announcements Disney put out, because, like, there's a Willow show, and...
That I knew. That was announced a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, was it? I didn't know about that, but yeah, there's all...
I was randomly looking up Willow, and it was like, Willow show has officially been confirmed for Disney+.
They've announced Alien movies, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, no, they announced an Alien show, right?
Was it a show?
I think it's a show, and Ridley Scott's involved. Which seems like a mistake.
See, I can't even keep up with everything.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm just getting like bits and pieces from like headlines and things that I'm reading.
But are you with me that it would be bad if everybody could that went to the theater could spoil it for people who wanted to stay home and watch it week to week? Like,
that's
I don't
terrible.
know. It's just they pitched it as a miniseries, and because it's 4 hours, I was glad it was going to be a miniseries.
Yeah. I didn't realize they officially confirmed the miniseries. I don't like the miniseries. I would rather it just be a 4-hour movie. But.
Well, the reason they did that is they were at a dearth for material for HBO Max, and of course this is the reason. This is the big reason, I'm sure, that they announced their whole slate for next year like that, because that service is not doing what they wanted it to, and they're trying to find ways to force everybody to get it.
Well, and it could kill movie theaters.
Yes, of course, and that was the big thing I wanted to ask you about. Is how much of that you think how much damage it'll do? I mean, there's a war in Hollywood right now over it. I mean, other companies are just losing their minds. Joker from Dark Knight, everybody loses their minds. But real quick, what I was going to say about the HBO Max thing with Snyder Cut is they kind of came out and said that they wanted it to be their Mandalorian. I mean, that's why they're putting out a week.
That's a mistake. It's 4 episodes.
It's 4 episodes, yeah.
And there's not going to be a season 2. Well,
except there wouldn't be a season 2 of that, I wouldn't think. But they keep
just make another overly long movie. They just release in parts.
They're not like officially announcing things, but they just keep talking about ideas they have.
Like, there's
for
been rumors
shows.
of that Ben Affleck Batman, right?
Yeah,
on HBO. I'm down with that. Like, I'm totally down with more Ben Affleck Batman.
I'm not.
No?
I'm not if it's in that universe. Or not in that universe, but like if it's the problem is. If that's successful, they're going to want to go the Snyder direction. Snyder's going to be like their visionary. What they said they wanted to do with unless this is just rumor territory, because I can never tell, but what I heard anyway, is that the Ben Affleck show was supposed to be like a prequel thing that went back and showed you how that Joker killed that Robin. I don't care.
I'm fine if Ben Affleck's in charge of it. Like, as long as Snyder's not in charge of it. Because he was supposed to write and direct the movie.
Well, that's true.
I think he's getting his life back together. So,
yeah.
As long as Snyder's not involved, I like the aesthetic of that universe. I don't think BVS so utterly kills that universe that, you can't fix it.
Okay. I'm going to assume if that's successful, they give Snyder the keys to the kingdom again, and he's involved in freaking everything. He'll be the Feige for that.
But I was excited for Ben Affleck's Batman movie, and he was a producer on that, and Snyder was involved with Wonder Woman.
But Affleck was right. Yeah, but how involved? And
I can think what's her name just came out recently and said that when she was making Wonder Woman 2, she ignored the released Justice League.
Yeah, but I know that. But that doesn't tell you how much he was involved in that first movie, which was, coherent and not gimmicky. And
as long as he's not, the guy specifically behind, as long as he's not director, writer, story.
Yeah.
Although I think he gets story credit on Wonder Woman.
Does he really?
I think so. I'm not sure. But...
Well, who knows what he wrote on a cocktail napkin that made that happen. But
he's not a writer.
He's not.
We also Sucker Punch. But,
I'm just saying I don't trust it. You're right. If we found out tomorrow that Ben Affleck is writing that and he's going to be the showrunner, then I'm much more interested. But if they don't do something like that, if it's not a showrunner I trust and Snyder is too involved, I'm going to have a hard time getting excited about that.
What's also weird is that Gotham show is coming out, the Gotham Central show.
Yeah, the showrunner left that already.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that show is maybe still. I'm not even sure if that's still on the board. I think that's still supposed to happen.
That's
but I'm
a
not
bummer.
sure.
I was excited for that.
Yeah, me too.
I like that showrunner. I forget what he'd done, but I like that showrunner.
And there's been a lot of rumblings about turmoil behind the scenes on that movie. So we don't know if that has anything to do with that or how true any of that is.
Yeah, because that all came out after pandemic and it had gotten pushed back. Who knows what's going on with that production? Mm-hmm. But Disney clearly doesn't care.
Yeah.
Just keep working.
But how do you feel about their decision to do that?
I mean, it's the completely desperate, crazy move I don't want to say I expected from them, but like I'm not surprised by it, right? Like,
do you sympathize with it? Or do you look at it and go, so you guys' streaming service isn't going well and you're willing to take movie theaters over it? Like, because I've been very much of two minds about it. Because on the other hand, they can't be sure that there will be movie theaters open by the time they can start. Did you see that article, or did I send you that article about AMC?
Yeah, AMC's officially done in January, right?
Yeah, they are out of money in January.
Like, I mean, that stuff's happening. And then, but like, we've been talking about this for years. Like, when is somebody just going to do this?
Yeah.
And they picked the right circumstances to just do it. And I think it's going to win them a lot. Well, you know what? I actually think...
But why aren't more companies jumping on board and trying to cut out the middleman instead of fighting them on it and trying to...
For the same reason comic books, and specifically digital comics, handcuff themselves to keep the mom and pop comic book stores alive. Like, I think that's really all it is. And they're afraid of it going poorly.
But is Disney less desperate than Warner Brothers is? I mean, I guess they kind of have more money, but like they've been leaking money real bad too, and they've been sitting on these movies. Like,
but their movies are also more sure bets, right? Like, yeah, Dune is not a guaranteed moneymaker.
Sure, but maybe not everything they have is a sure bet. Like they have
Matrix 4 is not a guaranteed money. Like what movies do they have coming out?
I think Matrix 4 does way better on streaming.
What? Yeah, because you're morbidly curious. Why not just click it on?
Why not? Yeah, if you're paying for it anyway. But all I was going to say is, let me say this real quick. Disney, just like every other company, has been leaking money. Like, I don't know if you know this, but if you sit on a movie that was supposed to go in the theater and didn't, you lose like $1 million a month on that.
Yeah, they talked about that with James Bond, and how like big a deal was that they chose to push it back. So like, we're losing $1 million a month. Just, it's interesting that
they will have lost that much money for 12 months when they finally put out Black Widow, right? Because wasn't that supposed to be like May or June?
Yeah. And
they pushed it back to May of next year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, and they don't even know if theaters are going to be there next year. Like,
no.
Yeah, I don't. I think this could be the death of movie theaters in the way that we know them. I think what you'll see is like more just revival theaters, or the revival theaters will stay. Like Alamo Drafthouse will continue, and they'll just play old movies.
Probably do better.
Yeah, but this could be the end of movie theaters, which I have mixed feelings about.
Yeah,
because I love the movie theater experience, but a lot of that is there's like not other people there. Like, how many movies have been ruined by just like a jerk behind you?
Yeah.
My first screening of Dark Knight was almost ruined by two giggling girls behind me, who just spent the entire movie asking, "Where's Robin?"
So like, you're gonna have to wait for 4 years for the next one.
Yeah.
To get a guy named Robin.
I don't know. Like, right now, I don't have strong feelings about it. When movie theaters start closing and that stops becoming an option, maybe I'll get worried. But like right now, I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping movie theaters limp along and I can continue going to movie theater with like nobody else in the theater, because I pay attention better in a movie theater than I do at home.
Yeah.
And I like seeing it on the big screen. Like most of that, that's meant to be seen that way.
Sure.
I got a tiny TV.
But because so few people go and see everything in the theater, and like the average person goes to 1 or 2 a year, and theaters have kind of become...
And they're all Marvel movies.
Yeah, theaters have kind of become, that's what I was going to say, is they become about the big popcorn experience and not much else. I can't, and I've said this a lot, but I haven't talked to you about this, I can't help but think that the quality of things will overall get better. Like, this has to improve quality of storytelling overall with movies. Like, companies will take chances on more things, and they won't be as worried about everybody and his dog seeing your movie. Like, you can make less accessible things.
Well, and it might re-eventize
for different audiences.
And it might. Well, I mean, hasn't worked great for Netflix. Like, Netflix's quality level has not been great. Like, they're all over the place.
Yeah, that's true.
And my biggest fear, honestly...
But some of that is just oversaturation. They put too much... They put too much stuff out, and also, not everything is stuff that they make themselves. Like, a lot of the quality problem on Netflix is they kind of let anybody put things on their platform.
I'm talking about the Netflix originals. But, like, do you remember there was, like, a 4-year period where, like, Netflix original meant quality.
It meant something, yeah. That's true.
And now it means if season 1 is good, that's the best you can hope for.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if season 2 is not terrible, there will be a drop in quality. Like, that's what everyone expects from Netflix.
But Eric, we're talking about something different now. Because before we were talking about movies, and now you're talking about streaming television shows.
Well,
These
but
are different things.
Netflix
like,
movies as well.
Well, it's true.
Honestly, I think the biggest fear...
But if you have the same people that are currently making movies for the big screen, making them for streaming, and, like, don't they immediately have less, what am I trying to say?
They're able to be more adventurous because they don't have to worry about the immediate box office.
Wouldn't they not be micromanaged as much? Wouldn't everything not have to be made by committee at that point?
Well, and that's
much. I guess TV is already made by committee quite a bit.
But that was and continues to be the selling point of Netflix for a lot of creators. Is apparently Netflix doesn't mess with your stuff.
Yeah,
they just say go make it. They might cancel you after 2 seasons, or they might not give you a sequel. But like
they might pressure you into making more than you wanted to.
Yeah. But like apparently Netflix is largely hands off with the products that people make.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard from like people talking. These like you kind of want to go to Netflix because they trust you. I forget who it was. I listened to somebody who was talking about how like working at Netflix. He was like, I'd never worked like that before. I'd never had someone just hand me money and go, we trust you, go.
It's better at HBO. Because they're also very much like that.
Yes,
but they're more selective about what they take.
Yes.
Or at least they have been. I'm not talking about Max, I'm talking about HBO.
Yes. But
worst branding ever.
HBO Max.
It's really bad. Everyone is a lot of the reason that it hasn't performed the way people or the way they expected it to is because nobody understands what it is.
Yeah. Well, HBO Go was a bad name too.
Yeah.
But
that was at least still HBO. Like HBO Max is Warner's everything.
Yes.
I see
what you're saying.
They shouldn't have used the HBO branding.
No.
That was the mistake.
It should have been Warner Brothers something.
Yeah. And
Warner Brothers fault.
I think there was a weird licensing. They're not licensing thing, but there was some kind of weird stipulation where they had to use the HBO for some reason. I don't know.
Well, I don't have HBO Max, but I've heard they've got a really bad turnover problem for the things that they have there. Where like it goes so fast.
So fast, yep.
Which doesn't make sense. You own it all.
Yeah.
But no, I think it could simultaneously kill movie theaters and Netflix. I think Netflix could be a big problem if everybody starts doing streaming stuff because that's all they've got. Like if all of a sudden they're not competing with movie theaters at all, and then they're not able to offer creators the creative freedom, like that Warner Brothers is also going to offer them, or whatever. I mean, Disney seems to still be micromanaging like crazy, but yeah, I don't know.
And splitting between that many services, it's going to be hard to imagine how certain companies even make any money. You know, like if you can't, if Netflix dies and then you can't, you have to have your own streaming service, you have to cut the middleman out, but people don't want to have 19 of them.
Well, right now, to stay in the loop, you need Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon, and HBO Max. And that's not counting the fact that NBC keeps doing... Is it NBC? Yeah, NBC keeps doing like stuff where it's like, yeah, I kind of want to see that, but
yeah,
I'm not going to get to see The Stand until it hits DVD because I'm not... Well,
no, CBS has The Stand.
CBS, sorry, not NBC. CBS.
All Access, yeah.
CBS keeps doing things.
And they're about to become the Paramount streaming service. They're going to do the same thing. And they're going to call it Paramount Plus.
Are they yanking Star Trek from Netflix?
You don't use Plus after Disney. There's been no announcement about that.
Okay.
That I know of. I don't. If they are, I don't know about it.
Okay.
I hope not. But if they yanked it from there, they yanked it from everywhere because nearly every streaming service still has Star Trek. Or not every, but like Amazon still has it, and I think Hulu might still have. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. But Hulu's weird because they're owned by Disney, but there's all kinds of things they have that aren't Disney, and I don't know how that works. Oh, and did you hear about the weird thing that they're doing where I forget what it's called, but they're at Stars or something. They're adding a tab internationally, but not here for rated R stuff. But here they're not doing it because we have Hulu. So here you have to pay for both services. But everywhere else in the world, you don't.
For what?
For Disney's Harder Edge stuff.
So for Disney Plus, they have a tab called Stars.
Yes. Or Star or something. And that's going to be Hulu for us, but they don't have to pay for it.
Oh, well, that's bogus.
It's bogus.
bogus. But yeah, But we've dealt with that so much with lately. Like, I mean, remember Discovery dropped on Netflix everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Like.
But then it wasn't a great loss because it was terrible.
Well, no. And apparently it just kept getting worse.
And worse and worse. Yeah, I watched the first episode of the season and I've not felt the need to watch
it
anymore.
But it says Star Trek, therefore, have to love.
Yeah, precisely. But I don't. I'm a rebel. Anyway, well, we've been talking a long time.
We have.
And I didn't mean to make this video this long, but I'm sure folks will appreciate it. Cause
I bet you these people don't even remember that we opened Christmas presents at the beginning of this.
Yeah, probably not. But thanks for going through some of this stuff with me, Eric. I appreciate it. And
I'm sorry I'm negative about everything. It just seems like everything kind of sucks right now.
If you feel like everything sucks, how can you not be negative about it? I mean, that doesn't make you necessarily a negative person. It just means you don't like what's happening. Like,
stoked for Dune.
I want to be stoked for that, but I'd always get bored with that material, so...
I'm worried because it's only half of the book, and I don't know if I'm going to get the second half.
Yeah, but I think it might have a better chance on streaming.
I do too.
I mean, I think for Warner specifically, some of that's going to actually be really helpful to them. They still won't make the money that they should have from the theater, but they just won't pour as much money into the sequels, you know, for streaming, if that's where they go, right? Like, they're all going to lose money because they've been, you know, hemorrhaging this entire time anyway. It's loss leader for everything. But I don't think that just because everything loses money means none of those things get sequels, right?
I also want to know if Corona keeps going. The way it has been, how long it takes for Disney to decide to drop Black Widow.
Yeah.
Because if theaters aren't mostly open, because like most theaters are open now, but like people aren't going, people don't know movie theaters are open, like it's not the same.
And like vaccines are about to start coming out, but it's going to be months before it changes the climate that much, as far as people being willing to go out and sit in a room and stuff.
Yeah.
Does that change over as quickly as May? Because a lot of people, I think, still have this idea that, like, as soon as you have vaccinations, like, poof, everything goes back to normal. And, of course, that's not what happens. True. It can't be true.
But we'll see.
But anyway, well, interesting times we're living in.
Yeah.
Eric, we should do this again sometime. It was nice to pick your brain about all that stuff. All stuff that I'm constantly talking all by myself about. And with DJ.
I just don't want to talk about it because, like, everything sucks.
Yeah.
Like, Marvel announced all this stuff, and I'm like, well, that sucks. This is embarrassing that this is what you're doing. But everyone's going to love it, and everyone's going to jump on board and be like, yeah, this sounds great. Nah, it all sounds crappy. Like, sorry. Like,
I mean, I think...
And like, I know most people are excited about these things, and so I don't want to come here and be like...
You don't want to rain on their parade.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you're going to pretend
and like you don't read comic books. Like, you don't care that Kang is going to be in Ant-Man, or that Armor Wars is being given to War... Because, like... And that's the thing about a lot of this, right?
Yeah.
Because like people are going to argue like, well, you don't want to watch Riri Williams because you don't like her in the comics, or you're not excited about Armor Wars because that's not the way it was in the comics. Like, yeah, I only care about these things because I care about the source material. So why wouldn't that be like my baseline for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
most of these people are MCU fans. Not these people, but like in general.
Yeah.
I'm not an MCU fan. I'm a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
I care about Marvel. So when you're doing things that I don't care about, I don't care about them. I mean, like, I'm willing to be won over, but like, my tolerance for like... Because like, I want to say, like, if everyone says it's good. But you know what? Like, everyone said The Boys is good, and I still haven't watched that. And like... That's more in my wheelhouse. Like, I'm more likely to care about that. Like, I just don't... I don't know. I just don't care.
No, I mean, I sympathize in that I very often feel like things just aren't for me anymore. I mean, I have that with a lot of things, and sometimes I feel like I'm also just going on and being negative about the things that people are, you know, really excited about. And more power to you. I'm glad there's stuff for you, but like, I'm somewhere though with this kind of stuff. Like some of the MCU announcements, I am kind of excited about. And I'm more in the middle. But you know me, I'm like like my background, I end up being as big of a movie guy with superheroes as I am, you know, comics, And I don't know, like I think I'm more tolerant of changes if I like if I like the material, and you know what I mean. We're like I can kind of adjust and be like, it's not that, but it's still good. Like,
yeah, we're into the phase of Marvel where like,
but the comics are that way right now too. Is the thing.
Yeah, but I'm not reading new comics.
No, I'm not either.
I'm reading Spider-Man and kind of X-Men. Like, that's it.
But all I'm saying is, you're really not going to care about some stuff moving down the line.
Because they're pulling from the new stuff.
When they start adapting from things that are thinking too much about the MCU in the first place.
Well, and like, that's like, part of why, like, I don't care about Ms. Marvel. I don't care about... Like, you're pulling from new stuff that I don't care about. But, like, your pass for, maybe it's not what I wanted, but... has kind of expired because we're not even doing characters I care about anymore. Like, you don't get the pass of, like, okay, it's not exactly what I necessarily want from Iron Man movies, but it's Iron Man. It's not exactly what I wanted from Captain America movies, but it's it's not what I wanted, and it's Ms. Marvel, and it's Ironheart, and it's the Eternals.
It's just a thing I can't. It just doesn't seem like a good character in the first place. But like some of these other things are just things I haven't tried yet. And like I can watch a thing based on source material I've never read and be won over by that piece itself.
But I don't care enough to try. Like with a lot of this, because I
have things like that right now outside of MCU that I'm more interested in looking at the TV property than I am in even trying the comics first, like Umbrella Academy. Like I've heard so many good things about that. Like
I still haven't watched that because I love those comics so much. But also, like, I just kind of want to reread those before I watch that show.
Yeah.
And like, I just haven't gone back to them. But like, I'm already a fan of Umbrella Academy. Like,
okay, sure.
And, like, I'm super excited about Invincible. I think Invincible looks awesome. I think Invincible blows away everything else that's coming out right now. Like, I think it looks so good. CJ texted me when that trailer dropped, and he goes, it's the show that you always wanted. And I looked at it, and it's exactly... Or it's the animation you've always wanted. Yeah. And I was like, that is the animation I have always wanted. This is what every superhero show should look like. Very excited about that one. But, yeah, I don't know, like... I just don't care. And, like, now they're adapting things I already don't care about. So, like, I double don't care. Like, I'm more interested in some of the Star Wars stuff. Like, because, like, maybe that could be good or interesting. But, like, I don't know. Like, I'm very much in a place now where, like, we're just not making products for me. And I should be the core fan base.
Yeah.
I am the dyed-in-the-wool Marvel fan, the dyed-in-the-wool Star Wars fan. And I have been told, well, we don't really care about you. And, like, you're not important. We're just going to keep making things for the people that don't care about these things.
That's what happens as soon as something goes really mainstream.
Yeah.
And then it gets, very often it'll get somewhat watered down and you know, quality may vary, but it'll turn into a thing that's for everybody else and it's making money. So, of course, that's why, I mean, we're talking about, obviously, things made for profit motive. And
what annoys me the most about Ironheart getting a TV show, you know what it is?
What's that?
She would have been forgotten in 10 years.
Yeah.
She would have disappeared. No one would have remembered her.
Yeah, you would have never... Well, and it's not like she's the only, like, other person besides Rhodey that's ever put the armor on. And there's other people you could have gone to.
Yeah. And, like, but also, why? Like, you have Rhodey. Like, if you're going to keep doing Iron Man stuff with another character, like, you already have one. I don't understand.
Well, it's because Iron Man started the whole thing and is still really popular, and they don't have Downey, so they have to do multiple Iron Mans. Like, we shouldn't be surprised if they're doing that.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just, that's the unfortunate thing about these things that we love being, like, big, giant commercial properties, and that's the danger you always run into.
But at least, like, Falcon and Winter Soldier, like, those are characters I liked in the movies and I cared about, and, like, you know what I mean?
I wanted
like,
both of them to get their own movies, and put them together as just as good or better.
Yeah.
And I get to see them more than for 2 hours.
I also don't think either of those movies would have sold either.
I don't agree with that. I think Winter Soldier would have been huge.
Does anyone actually care about him as a person?
I hear about it all the time.
Okay.
And it annoys me because, you know, I like Falcon better, and people don't talk about Falcon as much.
No.
So Falcon maybe wouldn't have worked.
Falcon's like War Machine. Like, he's there, and he's very few people's like fate. Like, he's just he's the sidekick to Captain America.
That may have worked, but he got some interesting character stuff to do in Winter Soldier, but kind of never again. But
talking about Falcon?
Falcon, yeah.
No,
but,
I like Falcon, but like I think a lot of that comes from the actor more than it does anything he's actually given.
But the point I'm trying to make is we do establish an interesting character there that we just don't really run.
Yes. But I'm not
saying
saying
about his background in the war and like trying to help out soldiers with PTSD and everything at the beginning. Like there was something to work with there.
I'm not saying
it also felt like something right out of a Netflix Marvel show, and I mean, him on television makes so much sense.
I'm not saying you can't make the Falcon movie and make it good.
Yeah.
I'm saying I don't know if you can sell the Falcon movie. And I don't think you can sell the War Machine
And
movie.
I agree with that, but I do think...
You think you can sell Winter Soldier?
Yes, I do. Absolutely, I do. And I think if you took a poll, you would discover a lot more people that really love that character than you realize.
I feel
because
like
I hear about it all the time.
But you're dealing with people that are like MC. Like I'm talking about. Like I think mainstream normal people. I think they barely know he exists.
I don't know if that's true.
Okay.
I don't think it's just my circles.
Okay.
I could be wrong though. It's hard to say. I mean, you know, you have a bias. I mean, yeah, there are the people that I hear from all the time, but I think even on the streets, there's a lot more Winter Soldier talk than there is the Falcon, certainly.
Well, yes, but like even I don't know. I feel like people don't realize that character even exists. Like I feel like that with a lot of the characters. Like there are characters I think could disappear and no one would notice. Like, I think if Scarlet Witch never showed up again, no one would have noticed.
I don't disagree with that.
I think if Winter Soldier had never shown up, I think they could have put him in ice at the end of Civil War and never brought him up again, and no one would have noticed.
Maybe so.
In the mainstream, not with people who like are like, you know, looking at every detail. But like, I think like, you know, Cletus and Joanna, like the people are actually paying for these movies, not us.
But I feel like I heard from a lot more people about that after the after credits with Infinity War. I feel like suddenly he showed up and people like cared about that. I don't know.
Maybe, but like I also felt like when people watched Winter Soldier, they were like, "Who is this?" Like even though they saw Captain America, like I don't think most of these people remember these things. I don't know. We'll see.
You might be right.
We'll see. Hopefully Disney. Here's the big thing Disney Plus has to do, and they've been pretty good so far, but they've put out like 2 things. You have to communicate to your users that it exists. Because Netflix is terrible. I didn't even know that there was was it the Christmas movies that you grew up with?
I didn't either.
Yeah. And it's only 2 episodes. I don't know if it's so far, if it's only 2 episodes, but like,
no,
it's
they
Elf and
dropped those
something
together.
else.
It was Elf and I watched the other one. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Nightmare Before Christmas was the other one.
Yeah, that one makes sense. Elf less so. How is A Christmas Story not there? How is that not the one you do?
Sometimes I wonder if it's just a matter of who they're able to like get to interview and talk to. Because the movie ones, they never get the major people involved.
Yeah, Bruce Willis is not in Die Hard. Even what's his name, Kevin McAllister.
Yeah, they didn't even get.
How is he not? We know he'll do it. Yeah. We know if they called him.
Yeah, he shows up on YouTube videos
talking about Home Alone.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like a lot. Anyway, well, hey, thanks for hanging out with me, Eric. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your comments. Let us know what you think about our thoughts on the Marvel movies coming out and all of that, and movie theaters and such. And we'll see you again real shortly with more stuff. I was Captain Logan.
And I was Eric.
Bye, folks. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that stuff.